A significant chapter had just closed in the unfolding history of God's chosen people. The era of one leader was coming to an end, marking a transition into a new phase of their journey. Moses, the mighty leader, the lawgiver, the one who had guided them through the wilderness for 40 long years, was gone. His work on earth was complete. The people of Israel stood at the very edge of the promised land, their hearts filled with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. They had finally arrived at the destination their ancestors had dreamed of. But their steadfast guide, the one who had interceded for them, the one who had led them through countless trials, was no longer with them in the physical sense. Who could possibly fill those shoes? Who could step into the role of such a monumental figure? Who could lead them into a land filled with giants, formidable enemies, and heavily fortified cities that seemed impenetrable? The task ahead appeared daunting, almost impossible. In this critical moment of uncertainty, when fear and doubt threatened to overwhelm them, God spoke with clarity and purpose. He didn't address a committee or a council, but to a single chosen person, Joshua. God often works through individuals. Joshua had been Moses' faithful assistant and right-hand man for 40 years, a period of intense learning and preparation. He had been a first-hand witness to incredible miracles and unimaginable hardships during their long journey through the wilderness, but now, the full weight and responsibility of leadership, the hopes and dreams of an entire nation, rested squarely on his shoulders. Every eye was fixed on him, watching his every move, waiting to see if he would rise to the occasion. Every doubt, every fear, and every criticism would inevitably be directed at him as he navigated this challenging new role. He was stepping out of the immense shadow of a legendary leader, a man revered and respected by all. He was embarking on what seemed like an impossible mission, a task that would test his faith and courage to the very limit. Many of us can relate to this feeling, this sense of being overwhelmed by the magnitude of what lies ahead. It's the feeling of facing a new season in life, feeling uncertain, inadequate, and perhaps even unqualified for the challenges that await. But the truth is, God had been meticulously preparing Joshua for this very moment, shaping him into the leader he was destined to be. Every trial he had endured, every lesson he had learned, every obstacle he had overcome, had been part of God's divine plan. Every act of faithful service, every moment of dedicated work, had been a crucial part of his training and preparation. God had already equipped him with the skills, the knowledge, and the spiritual strength he would need to accomplish the task ahead. And in the same way, God has been working in your life, shaping you, molding you, and preparing you for what lies ahead. Nothing you are facing, no challenge you are encountering, is a surprise to him. He sees the bigger picture. He's been strategically positioning you, strengthening you, and empowering you for this very moment in time. What may feel like an ending, a loss, or a setback is in reality a new beginning, a fresh start, an opportunity to step into something greater. It's a promotion to a new level of your destiny, a chance to rise higher and fulfill your God-given purpose. The story of Joshua is ultimately the story of stepping boldly into the unknown, trusting in God's unwavering presence and guidance. It's about having the faith to believe that God's preparation is more than enough to equip you for whatever challenges lie ahead. Joshua stood at a precipice, a moment brimming with both immense opportunity and daunting challenges. He was inheriting not just land, but a nation forged in the crucible of slavery, a people scarred by hardship and uncertainty. A nation marked by a history etched with the indelible ink of doubt and disobedience, a constant struggle against their own limitations. Now, the mantle of leadership fell upon him, to guide them into a land teeming with giants, their presence amplified by towering fortified cities. The fear wasn't a phantom, it was real, palpable. The threat looming, imminent and unavoidable. Internally, Joshua found himself locked in a fierce battle, wrestling with the insidious grip of doubt. "You're not Moses," the voice whispered. "The people won't respect you, they won't follow. The enemies are too strong, their armies too vast." These are not just ancient echoes. They are the same insidious lies that plague us, whispering doubts when we stand before our own giants. Fear, a master strategist, tries to paralyze us, to freeze us in place, especially when we're on the very verge of a breakthrough, of realizing our potential. Beyond the external threats, Joshua also grappled with the silent, suffocating giant of grief. Moses was far more than just a leader. He was a confidant, a mentor, a guiding light, a father figure whose wisdom had shaped Joshua's very being. Sometimes the most formidable battles we face are not fought on battlefields, but within the quiet chambers of our own hearts, leading others while silently grieving, striving to be strong and unwavering even when we feel utterly weak and vulnerable. But God, in His infinite wisdom, doesn't call us to wage these battles relying solely on our own limited strength. He sees the landscape of our hearts, knows our deepest fears, and understands the magnitude of the obstacles looming before us. He doesn't just offer a path to survival, He has a meticulously crafted plan to lead us to victory, to transform us from mere survivors into triumphant conquerors. Both leadership and life itself demand that we find strength in our moments of profound weakness, that we rise above our limitations. In your journey, you will inevitably face giants of insecurity, crippling inadequacy, and the paralyzing grip of fear. But remember this: God's unwavering presence is the ultimate answer, the divine weapon against every giant that dares to stand in your path. He's not demanding that you become fearless, an emotionless warrior devoid of human vulnerability. He's simply asking you to place your unwavering trust in Him, to surrender your fears and doubts into His capable hands. With God as your ally, your guide, your strength, victory over every giant, no matter how formidable, is not just a possibility, but a certainty. When Joshua's fears threatened to overwhelm him, when the weight of leadership felt too heavy to bear, God spoke directly to his heart, cutting through the noise and uncertainty. God didn't give Joshua a strategy. He didn't lay out a detailed battle plan step by step. He gave him a promise, a bedrock of assurance upon which to build his leadership. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged by what lies ahead, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. He will be your constant companion, your unwavering support. This wasn't a suggestion, it wasn't a friendly piece of advice. It was a command rooted in God's authority, a divine imperative that carried the full weight of His power and purpose. Joshua's mission wasn't his idea, it wasn't something he dreamed up or volunteered for. It was God's assignment, a task divinely ordained and empowered. When you know you're walking in God's command, when you're aligned with His purpose, the pressure shifts from you to Him. The burden of responsibility is no longer solely yours to carry. Your strength and courage are required, your willingness to step out in faith is essential, but they're grounded in God's presence. They are fueled by His power and sustained by His grace. God didn't say, "Be strong, and I'll watch from a distance." He didn't promise to observe from afar. He said, "I will be with you." He promised His constant, unwavering presence. His presence is the source of supernatural power, the wellspring of divine ability, wisdom, and protection. It's your shield against the enemy and your guide in the unknown. Joshua would go into new territories, facing challenges he had never encountered before, but never alone. God was always with him. This promise is for you too. It's not just an ancient story, it's a living reality. Wherever you go, God is with you. He is your constant companion on this journey of life. In every challenge, in every difficult situation you face, every setback, every moment of disappointment or failure, every victory, every moment of triumph and celebration, His presence is your advantage. It's the secret weapon that sets you apart. Let this truth sink in. Allow it to permeate your heart and mind. You don't have to be afraid of the future. You don't need to fear what tomorrow holds. The God who holds the future walks with you. He's already there, paving the way. His presence turns struggle into victory. It transforms your weaknesses into strengths. Meditate on this promise. Dwell on it. Let it shape your perspective. It's the secret to true strength and courage. It's the foundation upon which you can build a life of purpose and impact. With God by your side, you are never alone. You are always accompanied, always supported, always loved. The world says find strength within yourself. But God's way is different. Joshua's strength wasn't about his abilities, it was about his connection to God. True strength is received, not manufactured. It comes when we admit our weakness and rely on God's power. Your weakness is an opportunity for God to show up. Joshua's victories were about God's faithfulness, not his own talent. Think of yourself as a lamp. You only shine when plugged into the power source. Stay connected through prayer, God's word, and worship. Let go of the pressure to be strong enough on your own. Your job is to be a conduit for God's power. When you feel weak or afraid, draw near to Him. Courage comes from God's presence, not the absence of fear. This is the secret that empowered Joshua, and it will empower you too. God's promise to Joshua demanded action. Faith is never passive. Joshua's courage was proven by obedience. His first test, the flooded Jordan River. God told the priests to step into the water, and as they did, the river parted. Next came Jericho, impenetrable walls, but God's plan was to march and shout. Joshua obeyed and the walls fell. Later, facing 5 enemy kings, Joshua prayed for the sun to stand still, and God answered. These weren't Joshua's victories, they were God's, responding to faith. These stories show that God's presence leads to impossible victories. Your part is to listen and obey even when it doesn't make sense. Your Jericho might be debt, your Jordan a broken relationship. Don't be limited by what you see. God has supernatural solutions. Walk in faith and obedience, and God will part your rivers and crumble your walls. With Him, the impossible becomes possible. It's easy to think Joshua's story was unique, but God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The same power that parted the Jordan and brought down Jericho is at work for you. God's promises don't expire, they're just as true for you as for Joshua. Throughout history, God has been with His people, David, Daniel, Peter. When God's people face impossible odds, His presence makes the impossible possible. What He did for them, He'll do for you. Take His promise personally. I will be with you wherever you go. God is with you in every detail of your life, not just the big moments. His presence brings strength for every day. When you feel overwhelmed, remember, the God of Joshua is with you. When you face obstacles, declare, God is with me. You have the most powerful ally in the universe. His presence is your guarantee of victory. God commanded Joshua to be courageous. Courage is a choice, not a feeling. If you wait to feel brave, you may never act. Joshua felt fear, but chose courage, believing God's promise over his doubts. You must make that same choice daily, fueled by faith in God's character. Courage grows as you know God, more focus on His greatness, and your fears shrink. Stay in His word, remember His victories, and strengthen your faith. The first step is always hardest, but each act of courage builds your confidence. Don't despise small battles, they prepare you for greater victories. What courageous choice do you need to make today? Don't let fear hold you back. Say, God, I feel afraid, but I choose to trust you. When you choose courage, you align with God's power. All of heaven's resources become available to you. God prepared Joshua for his destiny long before he stepped into it. 40 years of serving Moses was training, learning obedience, humility, and faithfulness. Every experience, good or bad, was preparation. Your current season is not random, it's preparation for your promised land. God uses your challenges, skills, and even mistakes to get you ready. Don't resent the process. Embrace it. God never sends you into battle unprepared. He builds your faith one step at a time. Look back and see His faithfulness. Let past victories fuel your confidence. Your promised land is your destiny, but there will always be giants. God has prepared you for this moment. You are trained, equipped, and empowered. See yourself as God sees you, more than a conqueror. The most powerful truth in Joshua's story: victory was promised before the battle began. God told Joshua, I will give you every place you set your foot. Joshua didn't earn victory. He received it and acted like it was true. He marched around Jericho as if the walls were already down. He fought from victory, not for it. Because of Jesus, your victory is already secured. You're not fighting to win, you're enforcing a victory already won. When you face challenges, remember the outcome is already determined. Talk, think, and act like victory is yours. Even when things look bleak, know the final outcome is in your favor. God has the final say. His promises are declarations of your victory. Be strong and courageous, not in your own might, but because God is with you. Step out in faith and possess the promises He's given you. The battle belongs to the Lord. The victory is already yours. Walk in it, live in it, and give Him all the praise.